The Dweller on the Nile, The Life, History, Religion, and Culture of the Ancient Egyptians by E. A. Wallis Budge continues its preface here. We know that the bodies of kings, nobles, officials, and men of rank and position were mummified and swathed in bandages and laid in triple coffins, each of which had its cover fastened on it by means of dowels driven through flat pieces of wood fixed in slots, cut in both coffin and cover. The coffins were placed in sarcophagi of stone or wood, with massive covers fastened to them, and these were lowered down shafts from 20 to 90 feet deep, and laid in chambers which were entered from the bottom of the shafts. The chambers were walled up, and the shafts filled with stones, sand, and earth, and it is only the excavator who really knows how difficult it is to obtain access to the bodies of the dead in well-constructed Egyptian tombs. It has always been assumed that the Egyptians expended such time and thought on the burial of their dead because they loved and revered them, and many English writers have denounced the excavator for disturbing the dead in their last sleep and destroying the houses of eternity in which the loving hands placed them. But it is possible that the Egyptians did not take all this trouble in hiding their dead in what they deemed to be inaccessible places through love, but through fear, and there is good reason for believing that they did not want the dead to return to this earth. After the death of the body, the various spiritual and mental parts of a man continued to live, and as Osiris had given them immortality, it was feared that they might put on once again their old material body or take some other form and come back to prey upon the living. Well, there's the multiple ideas of the body, right? The beings capable of doing this were called Yaksu. A word which may be rendered by spirit souls or ghosts, and some were benevolent and some malevolent. They lived upon the offerings made in their tombs or in their graves by the living, and shared them with their cow or doubles. The astral soul. Remember, there's a 9-soul theory, but I've gone into that elsewhere. But it was believed that some of them came to earth and fed upon the lives of the living. The pre-dynastic Egyptians, with the view of preventing any return on the part of the ghosts to earth, dismembered their dead or burnt them in places where fuel was to be had. Neither dismemberment nor burning destroyed the Yaksu, but it deprived it of its power to injure the living, and of returning to its body, and of assuming the form of a bird or reptile by which it might deceive men and do them harm. At the latter period, the head of the deceased was cut off and placed between his legs, and latter still, the hands and the feet were also cut off. It was thought that such mutilations would render the body unsuitable for the purpose of the Yaksu. Even so, it was thought that the Yaksu might make use of magic to effect his purpose, and it is said in the pyramid text, lines 181 to 629, that King Unas did so, and was able to accompany with as many women as he pleased. The whole question of the Egyptian belief of the existence of vampires has been discussed with characteristic learning and abundant references to original sources by Professor A. Wiedemann in Der Lebende Leichnam im Glauben der alten Ägypter, Abertford, 1917. According to him, mummification of the body after the removal of the heart and viscera, the bandaging of the same, the nailed anthropoid coffin and sarcophagus, the well-constructed tomb with its walled-up doorways and shafts filled with stones, and concealed entrance were all intended to keep the deceased in his tomb and to prevent him from coming back among the living and working his will upon them. And Wiedemann has shown that the belief in immortality went hand in hand with the belief in the existence of the living corpse in the tomb. I am indebted to the trustees of the British Museum for permission to photograph the objects which are reproduced on some of the plates in this book, and my thanks are due to the Reverend Dr. C. H. Irwin in his unfailing courtesy and assistance, to Mr. H. R. Brabrook for the care in which he has taken for the production of this book, and the staff of Harrison and Sons, the printers. The bibliography, I will hope, will be found useful to the beginner in Egyptology, and perhaps to the reader has made some further progress in the study. For further study, Arabic names, E.A.'s Wallis Budge. I guess we don't have to share the rest of the preface.